one thing I'm seeing is the left-hand side we're seeing more from the front, and the right-hand side we're seeing more from the side. So I'm going to move that over there, I think, just so it's slightly off-center. And I'm just going to put my ruler, I'm doing this because when I balance it on my surface, it's vertical, which is what I want. So then I don't really have to think. And I'm just putting a line down. These lines you can erase. So they don't have to be any particular length. All right, let me know if you can't see that, and I will use something darker. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I just want to look at the angle of this. So just seeing that line, it doesn't have to be, but it's a good exercise to kind of see if we can get it accurate. So just thinking about what kind of angle, it's not 45 degrees, would be something like that, wouldn't it? So it's like, I don't know, 25 degrees maybe, something like that. But the number doesn't matter, just kind of gauging that angle is fine. So I think I'm just gonna, oh yeah, maybe I don't want so much sky. Okay, so I'm gonna do that over here. Okay, and then there's a vanishing, we don't actually see the vanishing point. So I'm gonna guess the vanishing point is somewhere off the page, off this side, somewhere, a little, I don't know, maybe 5 inches away. So I'm going to pretend I have an invisible point just off the page, and I'm going to line the bottom of my ruler up with that. So basically you're getting a triangle that looks something like this. Actually, that's a little bit high. Let me see. I think I need to lower that just a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to, oh yay, okay. Sorry, my other student who always... Hi, we're here. I had it up. I did it. This time I did it. Hi. Hi, Lydia. Okay, we haven't got very far.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay, great. All right. So, hi, Lydia. You made it. Yay. I had my picture up with all the people coming in so I wouldn't miss you this time. All right. So, do you have a pencil and a ruler and some pens for later, for just in a minute's time, and paper? You have everything. Okay, good. And then do you have your picture? You have your picture of the building. This one. You have that one? Is Lydia? Can you hear me?
I'm trying to... Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Here's the picture.
You have the picture?
Yeah, I got the picture.
Okay, excellent, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to go through what we're doing. We're looking, first of all, we're just plotting out the perspective, just because it's good to keep practicing perspective. So I made a vertical line. Obviously, this is vertical over here. And then I gauged that angle over there by putting my pencil over it and sort of guessing it was 25 degrees, not that that really matters. And then put that down. And then at the bottom, there was another angle. I'm just looking, we can't really see the bottom of the building, but we can see the surface of the grass. And that goes something like that. So I put that down. And then we're just about to do the other side. So we've only just begun. All right, and we're just using pencil and ruler right now. And actually, I wonder, my building looks a little bit big. I'm going to just shorten it. It's a little fat. So I am going to adjust my building to make it a little bit smaller. All right, and then I'm just going to erase the pencil. You don't really need to erase it, but if it's distracting, then it's good to erase it, just so you don't have that in your way. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so I'm looking, so the angle on this side seems to be like a gentler slope, but the angle on this side seems to be much more slanty, because I'm looking at the triangle of the sky. So that corner of the photograph gives me a really nice idea of what that triangle is. So it's not quite equilateral. It's got, yeah, the two sides are, well, it's quite a slope. I'm not gonna, yeah. We don't need anything more than it's quite a slope. All right, does that look relatively like it should? Roughly. Okay, well, the best thing to do is to put it in and then see what it looks like, because that looks kind of slanty, but I think it's fine. And then for the bottom angle, what I'm going to do is I'm using the road angle, because I think, you know, the building is basically lined up with the road. So that is going to give me a nice idea of what that angle is. So let's see, something like that. Okay, so I don't know if that even, I think that needs to go up just a little bit more. Let's make it go up just a little bit more. All right, that looks better. Okay, so the thing, you know, what I'm doing is I'm putting it down. It's not precise. I'm not commissioned by the building's owner to make it exactly like the building. So what I want to do is just get a sense that the building looks like it's going off into the distance. It looks like it can stand up by itself, and it seems to be doing that. So that's what I mean, you know, I followed the picture and then I looked at it to see, well, something feels off, and then seeing how I can adjust it. So I just made that a little bit slantier. So when you look at your pictures, if it looks a little off, then just adjust it. But we also have an unusual angle. So someone was standing a little bit low down and kind of looking up. So the angle of the photograph building is actually a little bit weird as well. So that also affects it. All right, so I'm just going to put the edges of the walls in on the side. I'm not going to put the fence in the front because I only want to draw the things I like, and the fence is not that exciting. I mean, in another picture, it may be exciting, but in this picture, I don't need it. Okay, so I'm just putting a wall down roughly over here. I can change it once I put the windows in if I feel like it doesn't quite work, but that seems fine. And then on this side, I'm actually just going to put a little, I'm not actually going to put a wall in. I'm just putting some little suggestions that there is a tree over there. And then just rubbing out those lines. And there we go. Okay. All right. I think that's fine. All right. So I'm just going to pretend. So if I, well, actually what I'm doing, I'm lining up these two. Let me put my thing there. I just want to find a vanishing point, which is probably there. Well, basically it's in the middle. You know what? I'm just going to put a middle spot. We need it in order to kind of line everything else up around it. So the best way to do perspective, that's not quite in the middle, is to have these lines joined together at one point and use that as your guideline for all your other lines. But we don't really have that because it's going off the page. But I'm going to draw the windows in. So when you do that, what you're doing is you're thinking about the lines kind of fanning out in this way so they end up at this angle. So every other line is going to be slightly less of an angle as it goes towards the middle. The middle one's going to be straight. In fact, I'm going to put that in now. Not very dark, so hopefully you can see it. And then all your other ones are going to be gradually getting towards that angle. So I'm going to do my line up here. The side that's further away from this center line is shorter, and then this part over here is wider. So I'm just going to put that line down. Whoops. When we've done all this, I want to look at your picture so I can see, make sure you understand it. Okay, so I put that line there. And then my other window line is going to be not quite, this is horizontal, and mine's just a little bit less than horizontal. So I'll put that about there. Again, the side over here is closer together. than the side over here. Okay, and then maybe I need to put another one. Those windows are a little shorter than that, so I'm going to put another line down. And maybe another one, just in case, because I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put those windows. But you can see how they all look like they're going into the distance, because they're all wider over here. They're gradually getting towards this slope, and they're all narrower on that side. So again, this is my horizontal. I'm going to start doing it on the other side. When you go down, they start doing the slant in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to put a couple of lines down here. So they're narrower on the left, wider on the right. And I don't know where my windows are going to be just yet, so I'm giving myself a couple of options. I think that's quite a lot of options. Too many, maybe. And in fact, my angle's gone off. Okay. And I'm not sure, do they actually... I think those are like doors. I actually don't think they're windows. So my, the bottom line is fine. Okay. All right, you know what? Let me have a look at your pictures right now so that I can check everybody is on the right track. So let's start with, Halen, why don't we start with you? If you want to.
Sure, I guess.
Okay.
I haven't drawn in all of the lines, but...
Oh, okay, good. All right, so you just need a middle line that's horizontal. So what you want to do is make sure your ruler's like exactly on the top of your page. So my camera is a little skewed, but what I'm doing is, if you can sort of see, that crease over here is horizontal. So I'm lining up my ruler with that. Oops, keeping it just as horizontal as I can, and then my middle line should actually be horizontal. So, yeah, the problem with doing it like this with the camera is you get a weird angle. Okay, I'm just going to make this a little stronger. This is my horizontal line. Horizontal. There we go. That's my horizontal line. So you need a middle one that's flat, and then all your other lines are going to go up from that or down from that. So your slanty lines are great, you just don't have that middle division between up and down. All right. Okay. Did you have any questions? Sorry, Halen.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, good. All right, Lydia, would you like to show me your picture if you're ready?
Can I have a bit more time?
You can indeed. All right, Emma and Edward, would you like to show me your picture?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, hang on, let me just get this up. Okay. All right, okay, so you're just at the beginning stages, but that looks good. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great. It may be, the angle is a little, you know what, Emma, can you actually hold it a little further back from the camera? So if you go to the back of the table and just hold it up, if you just stay in your chair and hold it up, there's probably a better view. Okay, actually I can see that. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Right, so it's just a little long. You know, it's a little far down, so yours goes quite to the bottom of the page, which is what I did with mine, and then I shortened it. So you just want to shorten that middle vertical line a little bit, because you're going to find it's going to look a little different and not quite the same as the picture. It doesn't have to be exact, but I think it should be a little bit shorter. But otherwise it's great. Your angles and everything are great. All right, Edward, do you want to hold up your picture? Okay, beautiful. Okay, so that looks great. You've got a center line. The top angles are great. Your bottom angles, I also did this. So you want your angles up here Whoops-a-daisy, let me just make that a little darker. To be flatter than your angle down here. So you gradually want to get it to this angle. So one thing which I actually might even do is just make this angle a little slantier, actually. Because you want it to look like, let me put it over here. So let me just zoom in a little bit. Hang on. Just a sec. It's slow progress. Okay, so okay, we've got this over here. This is your wall. Okay, and then when you've got your center line, and then your angles, whoops, come on, are going to gradually, whoops, slant and slant and slant until they equal the bottom line. So I know that's a little bit wobbly, but what yours are doing, this is what yours are doing. You've got your center line. This is your angle that you want to get to, but yours are kind of sloping a little bit more than that. So this is more slanty than the bottom one. So you don't want that because that loses the perspective. You actually want to get them gradually more and more slanty so they end up at that angle. I know that's very complicated. Does that make sense, Edward?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, good. I'm glad. I would have been confused. Do you have any questions?
How do you make sure that it's aligning with the
Okay, so the thing that we don't have is the vanishing point where these lines meet. Okay, let me just zoom out so you can see. Okay, so if I join these lines together, you'd end up with a point where they join. And that is perfect because you just line your ruler up with that point and it just works. So we kind of have to do guesswork because we don't have that point. But if you want to put another piece of paper down, stick it down and make it join to a point, you can do that. But I just adjusted this line because my line over here was getting basically the same as that, which means it was going off a little bit. So I just made this one a little more slant. You see how it was down here? And I just raised it up a little bit to give it a bit more of a slant. So you can do it that way too. The most accurate way is to get a vanishing point. So otherwise you just adjust it. Does that make sense, Edward?
Yes.
Okay, good. I know this is it's meant to be simple and it's always more complicated than it should be. All right, Olivia, would you like to show me yours?
Sure.
Okay. Let me just pin you up. Hang on. Okay. Oh, great. Yeah, that looks very nice. And that's enough lines, so you should be able to plot everything else on with that. That's perfect. Okay, great. Very good. Do you have any questions? Everything going well?
No.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right. And Kaya, I haven't looked at yours yet. All right, hang on. Let me...
I'm not sure how well you can see the lines because it's very light.
I can see them. I can see your points. Oh, you have a vanishing point. Oh, good. Is that an actual vanishing point? Do they all meet on that point on the left, or is that, because I can't see that?
No.
Oh, okay, it's just in the middle.
Not quite.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can sort of see your lines. They look fine as far as I can tell. Do they feel fine when you look at it? Does it feel off, or does it feel okay?
That's good, I think.
Okay. One thing you can do is you can just send me a picture and text me, and then just tell me you've done it, and then I can have a look. But if you're happy and you're not worried, then we'll just carry on.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so Lydia, I think you were the only one who I haven't seen. Where have you gone? There you are. Okay. Hang on. Wait. There we go. All right. Okay. That looks good. Okay, yeah, you've got a nice sense of perspective. Just your lines on... Yeah, I think you can see it. Over here, there needs to be more of a gap between them because they're kind of going to a vanishing point over there, which is going to make the angle... I mean, it's not too bad. I think it's fine. Maybe the bottom one, maybe the top one is fine. The one underneath the middle line is more slanty, it looks like, than your bottom line. So you could just make that one, instead of being like at that angle, you can just make it a little flatter. So instead of being up like that, you just flatten it. Or you can take your bottom one and just make it more slanty. So that would be the only thing, just so that you have that perspective all the way down to the bottom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right, I love your tree, by the way.
Yeah, it's very fuzzy.
It is.
I don't know how, but it is very fuzzy. I love it.
I do too. All right. Okay, so I'm going to carry on. If you have any questions, just stop me. And let's see if I can actually get this back. All right, so now I'm just going to put the windows on. The wall in the picture comes out towards us like this. It's like sticking its belly out towards us because of the photograph. We're not going to do that in our picture. We're just going to make it straight. So what we're going to do, and you actually can put your windows anywhere, but I would like them to have the gaps and the shadow and everything like that. But you don't have to put them exactly in the right spot. So my first windows and door, okay, I think I'm going to put like somewhere over here. And let's see. So the top, I'm going to put a line down here. Yeah, I think I'm going to make it. Oh, decisions. I know what to do. Okay, I'll bring it down to about there. And then because it's in line with the door at the bottom, let's put the door there. I'm just making that line as well. Now I know you can't see that, but that's what I did. So I lined these up. I sort of guessed the width of the space in between, according to the picture, because I kind of like the way the building is, so I didn't change it hugely. And then, so the window, I actually want it to be accurate compared to this. So this from here to here is wider than the window. So I'm going to put my other line, also perfectly vertical, well, as perfect as I can do because I'm balancing it on my surface. And that looks great. So following this line over here and following this line at the top, that's where I start and stop. And then following this line over here, that's where I start, and then obviously the bottom of the building is where I stop. Okay, and then the curve, which is always tricky. So the curve is kind of guesswork. I'm going to make the bulge be a little bit towards the right. So it's not quite in the center. And just feeling my way through it, I just put it in and then kind of seeing whether it looks good, and it looks okay. And then the other one, of course, it's obviously in a different angle. That looks more centered. The bulge seems to be more in the center, so I'm going to, well, it's a little bit to the right. I'll see what it looks like. Okay, I think they look fine. This one may need to be a little lower. Only because the window and the door, or maybe they're both doors, maybe they were, I don't know what they were. Anyway, they look similar. All right, so now I've got my windows. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rub out the pencil marks that I don't need. So those guidelines, I don't need them. I actually don't need it on this side either, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And, sorry, just checking. I actually don't need these, so I'm going to get rid of these two. And this side I'm not doing just yet, so oh wait, you know what I do need? This line over here, this guideline at the bottom, is exactly where I need the bottom of the window to be, so that's why the guideline is there. So I need to make sure I put that in. Well, it doesn't really matter. The ends of my vertical lines are stopping there, so that would have worked just as well. Okay, and then I'm just rubbing a little bit of that out so I can see what it looks like with just a wall around it and no lines. Okay. that. The shadows and things, I'm going to use a pen. So this is just, the pencil is just a guideline. All the other things I'm going to draw freehand. Once I've got my guidelines, I don't mind a little wobble because they're basically going to be vertical and they're basically going to have perspective. So that doesn't matter. So I'm not going to worry about shadows and stuff with my pencil. All right, so I'm just looking at my other window. So thinking of the gap over here is a little bit bigger than the window and a little bit smaller than this gap. So let's see, roughly, yeah, that is actually quite good. I think that works. Okay, so making sure it's straight. The same bottom line over here is the edge of this second window, and it basically looks the same, it's just a bit open. So I'm just gonna put it up to the top line. And then this is gonna be on the same guideline as before. So that's that, okay. And then obviously they're a little thinner. So I'm just going to move this in. This is also just guesswork, really. There is a way to do it, and that is by measuring your vertical lines going that way. You just measure them evenly, getting smaller and smaller, and that works as well. But we're just guessing where they are right now, which is fine. So long as you know that these are smaller than those, and this is smaller than that, but bigger than that, it all works out. Okay, and I'm just going to close the bottom line. Okay, and the curve looks a little different. This one looks like the bulge is a little bit over to the right. These are just little quirky details of perspective, you know. And also the way the photograph is taken. It's not just perspective, it's the way that the camera kind of tends to distort things a little bit. But that's okay. We're gonna look in there. I mean, it looks a little odd, but when we draw into it, it'll be fine. And this one does the same basically as the other one. It comes up, gets a little higher to the right, and then there we go. All right, I'm gonna rub out my, if I can find my eraser, put it, so I don't know where I put it. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay, just gonna rub out my lines, because we actually don't need them anymore. We might, I mean, there's a pattern on the concrete that is somewhat straight looking, but you know what, we don't really, if we get tangled up, we'll add a little bit of guidance in terms of lines, but if not, we'll just play it by ear. Okay.
Or play it by pencil.
Or play it by pencil, yes. Okay, right, so okay, so I'm going to ask you if you have any problems or questions or you want to show me anything, and if you don't, I'm just going to start using my pen. So does anybody have any questions, problems, comments, anything? Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you my pen. So I kind of like the thin pens. This one says 0.3. Let's show you that. Wait, can't even see it. 0.3 is that one. And then this one says 0.5. And more instinctively, you kind of see, well, actually, maybe this is the better thing. Okay, it's very thin. And the other one is also very thin. They're basically the same. It doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. The what is this one? 0.3. No, 0.5. Oh, let's see. Yeah, well, it would be, wouldn't it? 0.5 is a little bit fatter than 0.3. So you know what? I'm going to use my 0.5. 0.5. Sorry, in England we use the word naught instead of 0. So it all comes back to me. All right. So the point is, you don't have to have this exact pen. Yeah. You can use a marker. So long as it's thin, because then you kind of have to be more creative with your marks. So we did all those drawings with the little children dancing, And that you all had nice thin pens, so yeah, that's what I want you to use. Okay, so I am going to zoom in to my window and just begin. All right, let's see. Okay, I just need you to see. All right, so there's a shadow over there. Let me just take my glasses off so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right. So I'm just, when I'm putting this on, I'm just actually looking at the shadow to see the shape of it first. I like to do that. There's also like a little bump in the shadow. I don't want to make my lines too neat. It's very, when you start this kind of thing off, you tend to want to make things kind of neat because you're not quite sure what you're doing because it's new. Even every painting, every drawing is like that. But keeping it a little loose is good. And then I'm just going to use some cross hatching to give it a shadow that's not too dark, because within this shadow there's actually some other information that tells us what the shape of the window is. So I need to give myself enough grayness that I can put more marks in and people can see it. So this is just starting me off. The marks that I'm doing are not the only marks you can use. I mean, you can use anything. Really, it's all an invention, so don't feel you have to use exactly what I'm doing. I'm just showing you what I do to show you, and then telling you why, and hopefully that will help you. Alright, so let's see. Okay, there's like a little line over here. And so I'm going to put that down. And then I'm just going to cross hatch it. Actually, I'm trying to use the direction of that line. It's sort of horizontal, a little bit skew. But going in a different direction to the first lines so I can make it a little bit darker and change the mark. So it looks, it's just got it looks like it's a different surface, a different side, a different darkness of shadow. And then we have something over here. And as you get comfortable, you can be a little looser. Once you kind of know what the marks are doing, you can be a little looser. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to put some stripes. So I'm going to get there. So there's a shadow on this side of the building. I want to put the texture in the wall, which is a little tricky to do because it's kind of concrete with striations in it and stuff like that. So this is really where you get inventive. So I'm just going to begin. So it's invention and it's also kind of accident. You just kind of do things until they sort of work. So I'm just pressing a little bit. Let me zoom into that a little bit more. So I'm pressing lightly. No, that's too out of focus. Come on. Okay. So that not much ink comes out of your pen. So when your pen is a little bit old, it's much easier to do this kind of thing. When it's full of ink, it doesn't quite work. So I'm just starting off. What I want to do is make sure that I get a texture a little bit dark, but not too dark, because I want it to look like the sunlight is still kind of on the building. So I'm just kind of pulling my pen over there. And then as I get here, just thinking, you don't have to do one thing at a time. When you're drawing, you want to think about everything as one big object, so that you don't just, because it's all to do with the light shining on the different parts of the picture. So it's good not to just do the wall, stop, and then do the window and stop. It's kind of nice to do wall, window, shadow, etc. So I just saw the little marks on the edge of this, and I'm just kind of putting those in as I'm doing it. And then I'm going to continue with this texture. And then I do intend to put a little bit of cross-hatching in, just because the lines go side to side and up and down. But I am keeping an open mind, because sometimes it looks good without too much work. So you want to just know when to stop. That's another thing. And it's kind of an adventure using pen, because you can't rub it out. Okay, I'm going to continue. I'm interested in the shadow. I'm interested in the darkness in the window and the shadow. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that shadow down. So it's just the shadow from the tree. I like to do this. I just kind of suggest the outline of it. I'm going to crosshatch just a little bit. So the outline is nice because I like the shapes of the shadows. In a picture like this, the shadows are just as much an object as anything else. So I just draw them in, make them important. And then if it doesn't, like, it's not quite shadowy looking yet, but I'm not going to worry because these things take a little time, a little thought, a little working out. So I was thinking about that. So a lot of people want to know when especially my adult students want to know how to draw a tree or draw an apple or draw this and draw the other, which is fine. There's not one way to draw anything. There's plenty of ways to draw things. And I was thinking, if I tell people how to draw a tree or how to draw something in a particular way, then it gets boring because that's the only way they draw an apple, and then what's the point anymore? It's you've done it, why do it again? You actually want this scariness where I don't know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing. I just watch my pen. I kind of know that when you press harder it's going to get darker, and lines going in one direction are going to do something, and if I do the thing where I'm doing these lines that make a shadow, I know that's going to sort of work. But this picture is new. I've never done it before, and it's exciting. It's like going on an adventure. You kind of don't know what's going to happen, and there's a chance it's not going to work, and then you just have to go with it. So I tend to not, when I'm doing this, I'll use a broken line. I'll just see what my marks do. I'll start off with marks that I sort of know work, and then I'll just play it by ear, play it by pencil, play it by pen until it works. So the main thing, the point of all that is, the main thing with drawing is observation, observing what you're looking at, your object, and then also what your pen or pencil or brush is doing. Just, because it's always doing something. Whatever mark you make, whether it's the one you intended or not, it's always got something about it that you can use. So you just have to keep your eye open. And as I'm talking, I am quite pleased with the way this window is turning out, because it's not what I expected to. In fact, I didn't expect anything. I just thought, well, let's just do it. So I did. And now it's quite cool. I quite like it. It's got texture. And let me move this down so people can see. I'm just going to finish doing this, and then I will look at your pictures. So what I'm doing over here, there's a shadow in this window. So I want to put that in first. I don't want to make it too dark because there's light in the shadow. And the pen marks, those accidental little runs over the paper where you get dark bits and light bits, are really nice. So really with pen, it's scary to do it, but basically all the marks you make are nice. Okay, so now the tricky thing is to get the wood to look like it's dark, but also it's light, because it's not in the shadow. It's got dappled shadow on top of it. So just, using my light mark, suggesting a little bit of a window in the window. It's an unusual building. This must be, well, I don't know what it is. It is unusual.
It looks like there's doors on the top floor, but why would that happen?
Well, it might be, it might be for grain. What I think sometimes they'll put the grain on the top of a barn, and then things will fall down through it. I don't know, just to separate the grain from the wheat from the chaff, or whatever they call it. The bits that you use for bread and the other bits, they have a hole in the floor and they drop it down. Or maybe the grapes, that's what they do, because it's a winery, isn't it? So I know there's a function. I have never really worked on a farm, so I don't know, but it could be a door, because I have seen that in buildings. In winery buildings. Well, actually in farm buildings as well. Okay, alright, so I'm sort of pleased with my window. It's looking a little less like a shadow than it should. I am going to just give it a moment, and I'm going to have a look at your pictures, if you will show me. So, Olivia, would you like to show me yours first? Okay, great. Oh, wait, hang on. I've gone to the... Just a sec. Let me go. Are you... Wait, don't go. Okay. Okay, very nice, Olivia. That's great. Yeah, your marks are very nice. You've got a nice sensitivity to the shape and the shadows. I really like that. So just relax into it. Don't try and force anything. Just kind of think about the shadow. Think about the object. Think about what you're trying to get rather than the marks you make, and then your marks will keep that nice freshness. So yeah, I like those. Are you happy with your picture?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Olivia, did you have any questions at all, by the way?
No.
Okay. All right. Then Kaya, let's have a look at yours.
As I was doing it, I realized it's a little bit chaotic, but
That's okay. It is at the beginning, but that's really nice. Yeah, I love that. Your marks are very interesting. Yeah, just let that be. It will sort itself out. You know, you can always go over it and make the darks darker, and then all those light bits just relax a bit. But yeah, no, that's lovely. I like it. Are you happy with it?
mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Any questions, problems, or anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Edward, Emma, would you like to show me yours?
Sure.
Okay.
Hold on then.
Oh, that's very nice. Okay. Yeah, no, you're just, are you okay? You're not, do you feel like we're going ahead too fast? Do you need any help with drawing that, or is it okay?
It's okay.
All right. So you don't have to draw the other windows. Emma, you can actually just do one window. I just did them all just for my own, I wanted to put them all in. But if you just want to put one in and start using your pen, that's fine as well. So don't feel you have to put them all in.
Okay.
Do you need any help with anything, Emma?
Um,
You sure?
yes.
You okay? All right, okay. Just let me know if we're going too fast, because I can always redo a window. I can do it again. So please let me know. All right. Are you showing me a picture, Edward? Oh, okay. Okay, that looks nice. Yeah, I think that'll work out. Your slope of your roof at the top, so we can still see this. This part over here is a little flat, so you could make that more slanty. So that's what I would do with that. But if you didn't even do that, if you rub out all your other lines and just have the windows the way they are, it'll still look fine. But to make it even more like perspective, this line over here yours is more like this, but it should be more like that. That's all. And then, Edward, you don't have to, yours, the thing is as well, your pictures are far bigger than everybody else's. So for our little lines, you have these very long lines. So don't feel you have to put in every single window, okay? All right, and Edward, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, okay. Then, Lydia, would you like to show me yours? Oh, gorgeous. That looks lovely. That looks like a building
I felt like this window looked a little flat next to this window, so I added a little bit of shade to it.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's actually very good. Yeah, I know. That works really well. And it still looks flat because that's what it is. The other one is deeper, but it looks flat but textural and it has a bit of depth. And I like your tree behind it as well. It's beautiful. Yeah, excellent. So with your trees and stuff behind it, don't put so much. I mean, it's perfect the way it is. The way you did it was you actually didn't put that much detail in, and you put a lot of detail in the building. So as soon as I saw your picture, the building popped out in the foreground. Not only did it have perspective going to the side, but it also came forward against that tree. So it's working really well. Excellent. Do you have any questions?
Not really.
Okay, all right. Just let me know if you do, or comments or anything. Okay, Halen, I think it's just you.
Mine kind of looks like it's been through a lot, but
Well, the building has. Actually, that's gorgeous. No, that's lovely. Yeah, I love it. Your pen, it's just lovely because I can see all those layers of pen underneath the other layers on top, and it's just got a really nice, mysterious texture, which is what you want, because it's not just about the building, it's about the marks you're making, and you have a nice three-dimensional feel to the building, and with the perspective it just works great. No, it's lovely. And also at this stage it does get a little chaotic anyway. You have to kind of put everything down and then pull out the stuff that's important and what have you. So no, I think that's great.
thank you.
Yeah, lovely. Do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Okay, then I will carry on. Let me just check the time. Come on, time. 7:08. Okay, we have about 5 or so minutes. All right, I'm just going to carry on with that window. Is that?
It went so fast. It was fun.
All right.
Broken lines are fun.
Well, I'm pleased. I can stay for 10 more minutes if you want to. We're going to do this next week as well. I know it's kind of a late class. I don't want to make it too long because it's kind of supper time and everything. But we can do 10 more minutes if you want to. All right, let's see where I am. All right, I'm going to continue with the wall texture. At this point, I'm sort of a little bit lost because I'm not quite sure how it's going to turn out. So I'm just going to carry on and see what happens. Alright, so I'm just putting a little bit of the texture under the shadow. And then I might put a little bit more of the shadow down, why not? You know what, and I'm going to do the trees behind it like Lydia did, just put a little bit in because it's actually quite nice. And the tree is pretty shady, and I'll get there. Because the wall, even though it's in shadow, is actually lighter than the tree. So eventually I will do that. But right now I'm just going to put them there so I remember they're there. Okay, so I was doing the shadow coming down from the roof. Oh, and the thing is, I also feel when I'm teaching that I'm having to, make sure it works, because otherwise you're not really learning anything. But the best thing to do is to just pretend nobody else is around, It's like when I'm playing piano, and I play piano, I'm too aware of everybody around me, and so I always mess up. But if I just remember to play like I was on my own, it works much better. So I'm just, if I'm ever stuck, it's just what would I do if I was just drawing for myself? And basically, this is what I do. So, and it does work out in the end. It's funny how that always happens. Okay, so you see, it's actually starting to look like a shadow. Quite pleased. So as I'm drawing, I'm looking back and forth. I keep telling you that a lot, but that is very important because you don't need to think too much about what it is. You just need to glance at it, because you'll start to see things in the photograph or object that are not in your picture, if you need them there, So right now I'm seeing that the light over here is pretty bright compared to the shadow. So I have lots of room to shade the shadow. I can make it pretty dark. And then there's also this, all I'm doing is I'm making the paper a little bit darker over here as well. So my marks are not the most exciting. It's just my first layer. Problem with this pen, and these art pens, is they tend to run out of ink far too fast. which is good when you want a bit of texture, but then if you want to fill in areas, they let you down. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so my shadow is starting to look like a shadow. It's not hugely interesting in terms of marks, but it's functional in terms of shadow. So the shadow is coming over the window. It's coming up over here, and so I'm just going to let it spill out from the wall into the window, and a little bit out over here. And then I'm just, the shadow goes everywhere. It doesn't really care, so I'm just going to figure out where it's going. It's kind of going all the way over here. And I can change it if I want to, but really it doesn't have to be perfect. It is perfect. I mean, whatever you do, there's a tree could be that shape, casting a shadow of that shape. So, okay, I wonder if you can see what I'm doing. Probably not. Okay. All right, so I'm holding my pen pretty far back so I can get a nice controlled movement. So I'm using my wrist. And this is just so that I can get nice even marks coming down. Not that I need them, but if we ever did the sky, which we might, this kind of stuff is great. So I'm leaning against the side of the table, my stand, and then just using my wrist, actually. No, I'm not. I'm just using my arm because there's a lot of shadow. And the thing about the building, you want to look beyond it as well. Does the shadow really end on the building? Well, no, there's a tree behind it, or some sort of shadowy thing, and the shadow actually goes into the grass. So I'm just going to take the shadow off the building and just put this whole area of shadow around my building. And then my tree over here, this front one is actually darker than the back one, which is important because this is that space thing which you have with perspective, and that makes your picture feel like it's got air and space. Well, yeah, it's a space thing. Okay. The other thing that I find I do, and what helps me, is just really looking back and forth between my drawing and the photograph. So what I'm seeing is this part over here is too flat. In the picture, this is a lot rounder, so I'm just going to change that a little bit. And then just putting the edge on. I want broken lines. And there's grass over here. I actually don't want to see the edge of my building, so I'm just going to put a little edge of grass, and there's shadow in the grass, so that's okay, but I'm going to rub out the pencil lines when I get there. So in fact I will do that, a little bit of grass right now. Let me just zoom in so I can show you how I do that. Oops, that went a bit fast. Okay, so my edge of my grass is here. I don't really want too many lines because it won't look like grass, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade with a bit of cross hatching. Again, I'm just making this dark. All those little textures I'll put in afterwards. This one's more in shadow than the one above it. So, just getting the darkness because the grass is light and we want it to come out from the dark without drawing it. You want to draw what's behind it, but when you get to the grass, which is kind of tricky because it's behind a fence, you want to sort of get it between the grass without too much deliberate drawing. You just want to kind of like that. You see how it just happened, which is great, which is what you want because the grass is waving, and then you can make it more pronounced, which means more noticeable if you darken it up. But I want to darken it a lot higher than the grass and then just kind of make sure the grass looks fuzzy. Okay, it's not too bad. All right, and then the shadow over here just tells me, well, there's a lot of sunlight in the grass, so I need to make my shadow darker. So the more you draw something, the more details you put in, the more things become clear. Like when you first start it, you don't notice everything because, you just notice what you need to notice. Basically the perspective, where the windows are, and there is sunlight. And now, as we're doing it, I'm finding, okay, this shadow is actually this dark. It's not just a general shadow, it's actually dark compared to the grass, but light compared to the door, and then it becomes actually even more interesting, like another little path. Okay. Alright, so it's getting there. Okay. Alright, I'm just checking the time again. Let's just, wait, come on picture. Time is 7:18. Okay, how about 2 more minutes? Okay. If you ever want an extra class, just let me know. There's not huge amounts of time left in my schedule, but we could probably fit one in. Lydia, anyway, you need an extra class. So, yeah, maybe we can organize one. Okay, you know what? How about, why don't you show me your pictures before you go one more time? Who was last time? Okay, Lydia, you can go first. You can show me your picture if you want to. Okay, let me just get you. Oh, that's beautiful. That's so nice. I love it. And your grass looks great. Excellent. So you're building, yeah, just make the shadow come off the edge of the building. You don't have to stop at the edge of the building. It actually, if you look at your picture, this kind of gets even darker back here. So you can, it looks nice. It actually looks great with the sunlight and the shadow on the building. So you can also decide to keep it like that as well. But if you want it to look, well, there is a bit of sunlight there. But if you want it to be more like the picture, then you can just bring that shadow out of the building into the background. But yeah, no, everything looks great. Excellent. All right. Do you have any questions, comments, anything?
Can I just say I love broken lines? I don't know why. I love broken lines. They're cool.
I'm very glad. I'm very glad. I do too. I think they're great because they make it look like something's moving, and they also make it look like light's coming in, but also they're just nice to look at artistically. And they tend to work, They tend to work more than they don't work. So, yeah, I'm glad you like them. All right, Halen, do you want to show me yours?
Sure.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so just with the grass at the bottom, just try to not draw the grass. I know it's hard. I know because grass is there. You see grass is in the front, you want to draw it. But you want to draw the shadow behind the grass. You don't always have to do that, but for this one I want you to draw that without drawing it. That would be the only thing. Otherwise it looks really nice. I love your marks. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, comments, anything?
No, thank you.
All right. All right, then let's see. Kaya, would you like to show me yours? Oh, very nice. I really like that. That is actually very stylish. And you're using dots in the window, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
You're going a lot faster than I am. It looks great. I love it. That's really original.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Do you have any questions, comments?
No.
Okay. All right. Lovely. I really like that. All right. Edward and Emma, do you want to show me yours?
Sure.
Okay. Wow. Gosh. You went fast. That is really cool. That's actually beautiful. Very nice, Emma.
Thanks.
I love it. Okay, so seeing as it's that good, I'm just going to say one small thing, which you don't have to change at all because it actually looks good on your picture. But your window should be, well, if you being accurate, this line and this line should be lined up. So if I put a pencil against there, like that, maybe you can't see it, but they're actually in line, whereas yours, the one line is up here and the other line is kind of like that. So it looks like the building is bent. It's like it's bending outwards. But it actually looks good. As a piece of artwork, I really love it. So you don't have to change that. I think, you know, if you did, your picture would be less interesting. But it's up to you. If you want to make it accurate, then those lines have to be in line with one another. But other than that, I think it's great. I would suggest get a marker next time. Because pencil, you're very good at pencil, which is lovely. Your shading is really good. But I would just, you know, try markers again. Keep on doing that. So, yeah. Do you have any questions, comments, anything?
No.
Okay, all right. Edward. Edward, can you show me a picture?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, it's just because Olivia's waiting, so I just want to make sure we don't wait too long. Wow, that's lovely. Very nice. Okay, so actually that's gonna... Let's see. I think the only thing... So erase your lines. You've got these lines that come across. Just erase those. And then, wait, Edward. And then this window over here, the top of it's too high. So you just want to chop that off. Because you haven't actually shaded it yet. But maybe it needs to come down just a little bit. Yeah, because it needs to be... It looks taller than that window or door. So it just needs to come down just a little bit. That's all. Yeah. And then, yeah, like I said, erase these lines because the perspective of that is different from the perspective over here. It worked for the window, but we want to get rid of it now because it's distracting because it's a different angle. But otherwise, it's really nice. All right, do you have any questions or comments or anything? I presume. No. Okay, all right. Olivia, why don't you show me yours? Okay, nice. All right, so I like that. You've put the shadow down. That's great. So we just need to keep working on that. What kind of pen are you using? Are you using a marker?
No, I'm just using a gel pen.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. That's, yeah, because I thought it might be a bit thick, which is fine. We can still use thick pens, but if it's thin, that's fine. So, yeah, you're just basically at the stage I am, which is just kind of plotting down the shading. And then into that we will put more details. But I think it looks good. I think it's a nice start. Do you have any...
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, yeah, don't throw your drawings away. We're just going to carry on next week with this drawing until it's finished because I want to see this through. But please feel free to send me your pictures during the week if you want to, or questions or anything.